Hi, this is John with BFS, and we're continuing our series on record keeping and showing kids how to break personal records. So we just finished up with a readiness program. That's where we have a beginning student athlete beginning their training with resistance. And it's a gradual program reaching a certain point of graduation, so we have benchmarks that kids need to progress to and then move into the next tier of the program, which is our rotational set rep scheme. And that's the Set Rep Logbook, or using our Set Rep Log app. You can also use our Beat the Computer system. When we get to this portion of the program, it's a rotational set rep scheme broken down into a 4-week cycle, which is what we're going to cover next. We're going to go week by week, breaking down how to actually get baseline numbers and how to really show the kids how to start to break personal records. So here's how we move forward from one portion of the program to the next. We have a student that graduates from the readiness program. So they've given us a certain level of training. We know they have a good foundation. Now they're ready to move forward. So from that foundation, we know for a young man they have to hit 145 pounds for 2 sets of 10 on the parallel squat. And today we're just going to use the parallel squat as our example, but this applies to all the other core lifts that we would do. And it could be any core lift that we want to measure. So today for the parallel squat, we know this young man coming into this stage of the program can do 145 pounds for 2 sets of 10. So they're going to come in, you're going to give them this book, they're going to turn here to the parallel squat page, and they're going to be ready to work. And you've got working sets here, and you've got your rep records here, what we want to record when we break personal records, which is the exciting part, and we'll get to that soon. So here's how it works. They come into week 1. That's where we would begin. So here we are starting week 1. The student has just graduated, they get their book, let's just say today's date is 1/1. It's the beginning of the month. They're ready to go. First thing they're going to ask you is, what weight do I start at? So they're going to come to this first set here, and their first set is 3 repetitions. They're going to get into the rack, but they need to know what weight. So all we're going to say to them is, hey, whatever weight you graduated from, and if it's a young man, that's 145 pounds on the parallel squat, and all we're going to say is go to the next available weight. And so for him, if you have 2.5 pound plates, that would be 150 pounds. So he'd step into the rack, do his 150 pounds for a set of 3. When he comes out of the rack, he would record 150 in that box. So now he knows. If you see up here and you look close, in this top right hand corner, there's an additional box. What he's recording there is a self-assessment of his effort. We use the scale. On a scale of 1 to 10, we want students to be an 11, and that's in the classroom, on the field, at home, anywhere they are. And so we want to gauge their effort in everything they do, so they learn how to self-assess and push themselves outside of their comfort zone. So they say, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, how hard did I have to work to get 150 pounds for 3 reps? Well, he knows he can do 145 pounds for 2 sets of 10, so more than likely that number is going to be relatively low. So let's just say he says, well, that's probably a 5. It was my effort. It wasn't too hard. So that now is going to help us pick our next weight as well. There's 2 things that we assess on the next set. If his technique was perfect, he can increase the weight. Also, if the effort number is relatively low, we want to increase the weight to make him work a little harder to give him better results. However, if the technique wasn't perfect, and we judge technique on the BFS 6 absolutes, if the technique is not perfect, then he loses the option to go up in weight. He can stay the same or go down to fix the technical errors. Okay, so let's say this young man had perfect form. So now on his next set, he chooses to go up. So he steps in the rack and he says, I'm going to do 160 pounds. He does his set, he comes out, and he records 160 pounds. In the top right-hand corner, he comes in and records his effort. Let's say that bumped up to an 8. So now, wow, he's starting to work pretty hard. On his last set, if you notice here, the number is 10 reps in which he has to get, because what we're trying to do is establish a baseline. So he comes down to this last set and he says, I've got to get 10. I'm going to lighten the weight back down to 150 to make sure I can get 10. Because I know I've gotten 145 pounds twice for 10. So a 5-pound increase, I can probably get that for 10, no problem. So he puts in 150 on the bar, he gets a set, and he records 150. Here in the actual box, he writes in how many reps did he actually do. He got 10, which was his workout for the day. He comes back to that top right-hand corner. What was his effort on a scale of 1 to 10? So let's just say he goes, yeah, gosh, that was pretty hard. That turned out to be a 9. I really worked hard to get that. So now you've got a working set or a working weight that he's done for each set, and you've got an effort level. So you know how hard he's worked on every given set. Then from there, we're going to add these 3 weights up. 150 pounds plus 160 plus 150. So that gives us a grand total, which is called a set total, of 460 pounds. That's our set total. From there now we're going to come up to the top and we're going to fill in our rep records. We're going to get those numbers filled in so we know that we have a baseline for every single core lift in our first week transitioning from the readiness program to the rotational set rep scheme. So he's going to come here and say, okay, what's the most weight that I've proven to myself that I can do for 10 reps? Well, we know down here he got 150 for 10. So he writes in 150. There's an additional space in here for him to write the date. We want to always record the weight and the date so we know exactly when he did it and how long it takes him to break those records. Then he's going to ask himself, well, how many did I get for 8? Well, on his way to 10, he did 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So his record for 8 is also 150. That would apply for his 6 as well, 150. For his 5 would stay the same. His 4 would also be 150. Then from there, we want to look down at our working sets and say, did he go any higher on any sets of 3? If he did, then the set of 3 is going to be a different number. If you look close, his best set of 3 was 160 pounds. So that is his record for 3. That also would apply because he did that for 2 and 1 on his way to 3. So he'd have all those filled in, he'd get the dates put in place, and he'd have everything filled out from top to bottom for a baseline on his first parallel squat lift. That gives him a starting point so he knows from here on out he can start to break personal records. And our goal is to have every student athlete break a minimum of 8 personal records a week. And that's across all core lifts, auxiliaries, and performance records. Anything that we record, we can make progress on and show that we're breaking personal records. And then we want to celebrate every record we break on a daily basis to show the kids the importance of that self-motivation of getting better on a daily basis. We'll be back with week 2 shortly, explaining how we start breaking records and really having fun.